The War Council of the Crithian Alliance had convened in the Grand Chamber of Dominion, a cathedral of obsidian and crimson steel that floated in the void between star systems. 17 species sat around the circular table, each representing civilizations that had bent the knee to the supreme overlord Vakor the Undying. They were generals, admirals, and warlords who had conquered hundreds of worlds, yet today they sat in anxious silence. The war against humanity was not going as planned. Commander Zeltis of the Arachnoid Collective tapped his chitinous claws against the table. His 8 eyes reflected the holographic projections hovering above them, star maps marked with red zones where human resistance had proven unexpectedly fierce. "Impossible," hissed Admiral Kriva, her serpentine form coiling with agitation. The humans possessed no plasma weapons, no quantum shields, no gravitic disruptors. Their ships are primitive. Their worlds should have fallen in days. And yet, rumbled General Thokmar, his massive crystalline body refracting the chamber's crimson light, we have lost 43 fleets in the past cycle. 43. The council erupted into arguments. Accusations flew across the table like plasma fire. Some blamed incompetent field commanders. Others suggested human cunning had been underestimated. A few whispered that perhaps the Supreme Overlord's strategy needed revision, though such words were spoken carefully, for Vakor the Undying did not tolerate dissent. The great doors to the chamber suddenly groaned, their massive weight shifting with a metallic scream that silenced every voice. All eyes turned to the entrance. A figure stood in the doorway. Small by the standards of the council, barely 2 meters tall, clad in battered armor that looked cobbled together from a dozen different technologies. The armor was scorched, dented, leaking coolant from a cracked seal on the left shoulder. Blood, both red and colors unknown, stained nearly every surface. But it was what the figure held that caused the War Council to freeze. In the human's right hand, held aloft by its crown of horns, was the severed head of Supreme Overlord Vakor the Undying. The silence that followed was absolute. Commander Zeltis felt his respiratory spiracles seize. Admiral Kriva's forked tongue tasted the air and found only the copper tang of death. General Thokmar's crystalline structure vibrated at a frequency that betrayed his fear. The human walked forward with measured steps, boots echoing in the chamber. The figure's helmet retracted with a pneumatic hiss, revealing the face beneath. Female by human standards, dark skin marked with scars. One eye replaced by a crude cybernetic implant that glowed with cold blue light. Her expression was not one of triumph or rage, but something far more terrifying. Exhaustion mixed with grim determination. She reached the center of the council table and set Vakor's head down with a wet thud. The Supreme Overlord's 6 eyes, once burning with psionic fire, now stared lifelessly at the ceiling. His mandibles hung slack, and the crown of psychic amplifiers embedded in his skull flickered weakly before going dark. "My name is Commander Sarah Chen of the Terran Defense Force," the human said, her voice hoarse but steady. "I've come to discuss terms." Admiral Kriva recovered first, her training overcoming her shock. You killed the Supreme Overlord?" Her voice scaled upward in disbelief. His fortress was protected by 6,000 warriors, orbital cannons and psionic barriers that could crush battleships. Sarah Chen looked at the serpentine admiral with her one human eye. "I know, I killed them too." "Impossible," roared General Thokmar, rising from his seat. His massive form towered over the human. "Vakor the Undying has lived for 3,000 years. He has conquered 400 worlds. His mind could shatter lesser beings with a thought. You are one human with primitive equipment." Sarah didn't flinch. Instead, she reached up and pulled something from her belt, a small, scorched recording device. She activated it, and holographic footage filled the chamber. The council watched in growing horror as the recording showed Sarah Chen's assault on Vakor's fortress. They saw her use crude explosives to breach walls that should have withstood orbital bombardment. They watched her turn the fortress's own security systems against its defenders through brutal, straightforward hacking. They saw her navigate psionic traps by shutting down her own fear response through sheer willpower and combat drugs. And then they watched her fight Vakor himself. The Supreme Overlord had unleashed his full psionic might, attempting to dominate her mind, to crush her will, to make her kneel. Sarah Chen's nose had bled. Her cybernetic eye had sparked and gone dark. Her muscles had seized under the psychic assault. But she had not stopped moving forward. Step by agonizing step, she had advanced through pain that would have killed most species. Her crude human weapon, a simple railgun, raised and firing. Vakar's psionic shields had deflected the first dozen shots. But Sarah had kept firing, kept advancing, kept coming like a force of nature that could not be reasoned with or stopped. The recording showed her final shot, a tungsten slug that punched through Vakar's failing shields and removed half his skull. The hologram ended. The War Council sat in stunned silence. Sarah Chen picked up Vakar's head again and looked at it almost sadly. "You know what your Supreme Overlord didn't understand about humans?" she asked quietly. "We're not special. We don't have psionic powers. Our technology isn't revolutionary. We're not stronger or faster or smarter than most of you." She turned to face the council, holding the head higher. "But we are stubborn. We are adaptable, and when you threaten our home, our families, our children, we become something you've never encountered in all your conquered worlds." Her voice hardened. "We become impossible to kill because we refuse to die. We become unstoppable because stopping means everything we love burns. We become relentless." Commander Zeltis found his voice, though it trembled. What are your terms?" Sarah Chen set the head down one final time and placed both hands on the council table, leaning forward. "You leave human space. You withdraw to your borders. You release all human prisoners. And in return," she straightened, "we don't come for the rest of you." Admiral Kriva began to protest, but General Thokmar raised a crystalline hand to silence her. The ancient warrior understood something the others were only beginning to grasp. He had seen countless species fight and fall. He had witnessed bravery and desperation in equal measure, but he had never seen anything like the human standing before them. "The council will need time to deliberate," he said carefully. Sarah Chen pulled her helmet back on. "You have 6 hours. After that, I start working my way through your chain of command, starting with whoever's sitting in Vakar's chair next." She turned and walked toward the exit, leaving the head of the Supreme Overlord as a grim reminder on their table. As the massive doors closed behind her, Commander Zeltis spoke the thought that echoed in every mind present. "How do you fight an enemy that simply refuses to lose?" General Thokmar stared at the dead eyes of Vakor the Undying, and understood that the Krithian Alliance had learned a terrible truth too late. Humans didn't need to be the strongest or the smartest to win. They just needed to be the last one standing. And they always were.